Joined by the voice of the Vancouver Canadians, Mr. Rob Fay. Rob, what an interesting season, start to finish.
Yeah, we got out gangbusters and then went through that usual lull that we find our way through. But you know what? They say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And for the Canadians to win their final 4 games, half of those 4 games were just to get into the playoffs, and then the final 2 were to just tune up. So I really like where we're at right now.
We talked at the start of the season about going into number 4, and it was sort of a pipe dream for everybody. But when you look at this, you look at the general manager, the coaching staff, the players that you put through the system to get to the Jays, Stroman for one. I mean, you guys are known for putting first-class players in the Blue Jays organization.
I think why the Blue Jays like sending their players here is because of the environment that they get to play in. I mean, you can send them to certain minor league organizations and they're playing in front of 400 or 500 fans, and I don't think you really get the game intensity that you'd find at the major league level in the lower levels of baseball. So for the fact that you can come to Vancouver for your first year, have 5,000 fans every night screaming for you, it really sees what you're made of early, and I think that's part of the reason that they kind of give these players the litmus test in Vancouver early on.
Fast forward to the end of the season. The other night, the Hall of Fame that you inducted Steve Ewen and Bob Robertson, a legendary broadcaster with Spokane, into it. We had the chance to talk to Bob earlier on today, and boy, oh boy, what a well-spoken individual. Not to say that he got his start in Vancouver.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. I was fly on the wall when the selection committee decided who they were going to bring in, and usually you have to have a connection to Vancouver. You have to be a guy that broadcasts the Capellanos or the Mounties or the Canadians, the AAA or short season, and they all looked at each other and they said, if there's one free pass that we could give maybe in the history of our voting, it'd be for Bob Robertson. 67 years on air. His first game for Notre Dame was back in 1947. To put that in perspective, that's 4 years before they built this stadium. So, to look at that guy and say that he's deserving is an understatement. And, for him to go in with Steve Ewen is also pretty cool. Steve's been around here for nearly 30 years and battled cancer and beat cancer. And this was one year that when I was out there introducing the 2 Hall of Famers, it was a really proud moment for me as well.
And it was nice to see the other Hall of Famers on the diamond as well.
Well, Jim Robson,
come running in. That was good.
I called it the Phil Esposito moment, where he kind of tripped to give everybody a good laugh. But, and Jim's a consummate professional. He just lets it roll off his back. But more than anything, I just think it was really cool to see a collection of Hall of Famers that are established come out and kind of surround these new guys and welcome them into the Hall. When Andy Dunn first thought of the idea of a Broadcast and Journalism Hall of Fame, everybody kind of said, oh, that's interesting. But now it's got this credibility, it's got legs, and you see broadcasters and journalists that are looking to one day become a part of that Hall of Fame. So I think it's a job well done.
Yeah, full credit goes to the general manager, John Schneider, as well.
He was phenomenal. John Schneider was here in 2011 and had to leave the team midway point of the season for some personal issues back with his family, and wasn't here when we stormed the field winning our first championship. So if there's an underlying story beyond just the wins and the losses, I think there's a lot of players that understand that moment and want to get a championship for him. So if anybody ever asks you, why are the Canadians playing this hard or what is their motivation, it is definitely John Schneider.
You look outside the box, we see the superstars of baseball that you bring in here. That attracts people, but you don't have much to do to attract people because they love coming to the Nap. But that just says it all. The other night when Johnny Bench was here, what a thrill.
Johnny Bench, in my mind, is the greatest catcher in the history of baseball, and what makes it cool is we kind of bring them right to you. Over the years, we've had Bill Buckner, who, of course, let the ball in '86 go through his legs, and you've had Larry Walker, a local legend, and everybody in between. So, when I look back at the Superstar Series, I think the first year was just to try and get a few butts in the seats, but now we take pride in who we bring in, and when you're looking at Tom Henke, the old Terminator from the Blue Jays, and, of course, Johnny Bench and Steve Garvey, that's kind of cool for the fans to say that they rub shoulders with some of the baseball greats.
Not to mention, you bring other groups in, sporting groups, minor baseball groups. Today we watched the Comox team. The other day you had the ladies of baseball that were playing here. And they say an awful lot about, the growth of the program. Talking earlier today to Ray Carter, the president for Baseball Canada. And he is so just in love with the stadium. He loves coming here and just sits and minds his own business. Doesn't even let people know he's here.
Yeah, what's funny is Baseball Canada's got 4 seats, and sometimes they're filled, sometimes they're not. But the one guy that you can almost rest assured is going to be here is Ray Carter. And, that's the president of Baseball Canada, and he's invested on a number of levels in baseball in this country. But I think when we bring out amateur teams, I think what we want to say is, that we see what you're doing. And, it's one thing to just send an email like congratulations or maybe send them a box of baseballs, but to physically say, come out to our ballpark, we want to make sure that you understand how important you are to the game and what we're trying to develop. I think that's a statement that we're really proud to make is just, we see what you're doing, and congratulations on a phenomenal season.
We're heading forward. We're going against Spokane in the playoffs. Can you explain how the playoff format works? We get game one here.
Yeah.
Next two are back in Spokane. Why would that be if we have a higher record?
First half team that wins the pennant gets the luxury of deciding if they want game one or if they want games 2 or 3. So the benefit of winning the first half is that you get to make that decision. I don't think I've ever seen a team win the first half that has taken game one. They always want the potential for the extra gate revenue because the teams in the Northwest League don't share the gate. So it means if we sell out 5,000, that's money in our pocket. If Boise has 300 in their stands, that's money in their pocket. So the reality is if you're the team that wins the first half, you want the potential to make a little more money to help offset the expenses of the season. I can't remember the last time that a team that won the first half has won a championship. All the teams that have won the second half, going back to 2010 with Everett, won the back half because you go in playing hard, fighting hard like we did just to get into the playoffs, and usually you ride that momentum right through, hopefully, to a championship.
When you look at the stadiums, other than the Nat, which one's your favorite to broadcast from?
No doubt, it's Spokane, and you say that on two fronts. One is they've got a field that's very similar to ours. The lines, the dimensions, the stadium is packed. They've got 5,000, and they're the only stadium that's got a bird's eye view like we have at Nat Bailey Stadium. So you're looking directly down. You can identify pitches easy. You can see how defenses are setting up, and I just like the overall atmosphere. I mean, the one place that you hate broadcasting is Boise, and wouldn't you know it, they qualify for the postseason. So we could go from the penthouse to the outhouse very quickly.
Yeah, not to mention that's the way it's going to work because we want to see you guys in the championship again. If you defeat Spokane, or I should say when you defeat Spokane, and when you go on that and defeat Boise, in this case, we'll say Boise, for example, you got the chance of hosting the final?
Game one, which would be Saturday night, which would be September the 6th, if my math is correct. But I think more than anything, we want fans to know that the tickets are already on sale. So you can go to CanadiansBaseball.com and grab them. You can just come right down to the ballpark. You can call us up. They're all available. And I think right now we're at about 65% capacity for Game 1 tomorrow night. And that's pretty good considering that we've only known for about 36 hours that we're in the playoffs. But we expect Tuesday to be a pretty good crowd. But if we get into the final, Game 1 in Vancouver of 3, there's no reason that this wouldn't be sold out on a Saturday night.
Yeah, no kidding. Robbie, thanks for doing this. Good luck down the road. And next time we see you, we want to see you with a championship ring again.
Wouldn't that be nice? But more than anything, thank you for your coverage. I know everybody in Delta has been such staunch supporters of the Canadians, and you in particular have done a fantastic job, you and your crew that come here. So thank you for the coverage.
Okay, thanks, Robbie.
Anytime.